Well, I am joined this time by Melissa Lapiane from Freedman's Home Improvement. I'm very excited to have you as my first in-person guest on the podcast. We haven't done this yet, so thanks for doing that.
Yeah, delighted to be here.
Yeah, so we can thank the fact that we're all here at DevLearn in Las Vegas for putting us together in the same room, and it's going to be exciting for me because I'm going to talk to a whole bunch of different people who are here and just try to dig in and find out what people are thinking about when it comes to L&D, what people are learning, what they know. So one of the first things I wanted to ask folks, because I find this comes up a lot in some of the conversations I have, is when you look at your career in learning and development, or even beyond that, what's something that you wish you knew, like something maybe that you know now that if you could just go back, that may have made things a little bit easier then?
Yeah, something I think I underestimated, maybe something you always knew. So if you've heard this 10,000 times, here's 10,001, is don't forget who your audience is and your end user is, and include them as much as possible in your development process. I think we think a lot of the times about how these people that are our subject matter experts, they're needed to do the roles that you're creating the learning and development for. And especially in smaller companies like mine, there isn't these career pathways where there's exponential growth opportunities for them. And so you are, by working with your team in learning and development, you're doing the development for them. It shouldn't be underestimated the skill sets that we have in this profession about taking complex ideas and big projects and breaking them down and distilling them into ways that everyone can accessible. And when you get the opportunity to take these subject matter experts and teach them how to do that too, like you're building development into their career for them too.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point because, as you said, obviously in a smaller organization, everybody can sort of feel it, right? They can feel when they are recognized for their contributions. And it's something to not lose sight of as either your organization grows or you are working in a much larger organization. Yeah. Because I find that we talk to some of these folks that are in these bigger companies that are widely dispersed, just out of necessity, like shorthand, they start to refer to things in very homogenous groups, right? And all of a sudden the humanity starts to drift away and it's just this chunk of people. And then all of a sudden it's not even people anymore. It's these employees, these workers, or even these learners. What they get this name and everybody becomes this thing that you have to move around the system. Yep. And I like that approach. I mean, clearly you guys have that kind of culture to start with. So that's nice that's blended into the L&D approach. Is there any advice that you could give from your perspective for somebody who has, maybe, 10x or something of the, geographical spread or employee spread on that? Like, is there a way to keep that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's never been easier to do things virtually, right? So even if it's just a screen share and getting ideas of, how does this phrase work? Is this how you guys talk about it? Especially in different industries, you've got jargon to use. And as you're an L&D professional, you're not in the work every day. You don't always know how things get talked about with the people who do the job every day. So even just simple check and adjust with those kinds of things, so impactful and immediate buy-in, right? When they see the process and how it came from this idea into, the e-learning or the document or, whatever the end result is, they were a part of it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's the key, I think, for those larger organizations is find a way to scale the thing that you're talking about by not losing sight of the people within the organization who can give you that insight. I think that's a big challenge for all L&D teams of any size is when you're very focused at being really good at what you do, which most of the L&D professionals that I speak to are really good at what they do. You have to also admit that I perhaps don't have the best grasp in the organization as to what people are doing on a day-to-day basis, what makes them exceptional at their job. I might not have that insight. So either I go to that person directly or who is it that knows that can scale that for me. I think that's a great point. One of the other things I wanted to ask my guests here at DevLearn, because it's, one of the few opportunities we get to all come together and connect and hopefully learn new things, listen to people you haven't heard before. Is there somebody in L&D that you would say like that inspires you, somebody that maybe you look up to or, I want to be that person when I grow up, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I had the pleasure of spending the last 2 days with Megan Torrance. Okay. I was doing the Agile Project Management certification, and I love everything she said through the 2 days. I think that she takes agile project management and really makes it, so she calls it llama. And now I have these terms that when my tech team is talking about their sprints, like I can see a really easy way that learning and development fits right into the methodology of the way my company's already learning continuous improvement strategies. So it's nice when you can just slip right into the way things are already going.
Yeah, no, that's a great approach. I've talked to other organizations. There's Llama. There's one actually called Lot Like Llama.
Yeah.
But there's anything that gets you out of these very dated, rigid structures of how we do things, right? It has to go through this process. I made a LinkedIn post recently that got some pushback because I was, why are we so married to Addy, this model? Yeah. I mean, I get the principles. The underlying principles make a lot of sense, but it's based on software development models from 20, 30 years ago. Yeah. And you can't find a software engineer that's using those anymore. They've moved on.
I don't want a cell phone from 20, 30 years ago. Why do I want to use the same processes that built it?
Right. Whenever we as L&D professionals not necessarily complain, but recognize the fact that the business changes so fast, it's like, well, then why are you relying on these tools that do not change with you, right? Yeah. You're always one step behind. So that she's a great person to listen to and to look up to. That's a great answer. I love that. Yeah.
She was very rooted in the reality of our day-to-day still. So I thought that was really nice to hear. She would make examples of the things that were actually happening and you'd hear the whole room chuckle because we all know what that experience is. So it just felt very applicable. And I also really enjoyed she made it really easy to know that things are going to change and giving you talk tracks as an L&D leader to take back to my team and be like, hey guys, the project scope is going to change and we're going to roll with it as it happens. And that is like the biggest, most rewarding change I think I'll bring back.
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, going back to with the way software developers work, they go in day one knowing this will change. Yep. We don't know how yet. We don't know why yet, but we know that it will change. So let's build that into what we're going to do so we're ready to respond. It's a great approach. So the last thing I want to cover with you is, we're always trying to leave people with some learning moments. What's something in your career that you could look at that say, I gave it a shot. I took a swing. Didn't work out so well. And then what did you do with that as an outcome?
Yeah. So when we first started with this is at Freedman Home Improvement, we're the first official learning and development team. And we really took this approach of we need to give them the whole Pixar movie of the training, like story from A to Z and do everything all at once. And it was taking an exponential amount of time for our learners to complete this content. And so we've been shifting our analogy to being like, okay, you guys, let's write one episode of a TV series and give it to them. And then, each month we can give, or each week or each day, whatever that is, give them the next episode that continues the story, that continues their education. And it also allows us to change as the company changes too, by making smaller size chunks of learning. So that is definitely a huge shift that's been a big impact for us.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, the TV shows, because you could go too far in one direction and just make these 20-minute segments that, if you think of the 80s, 90s, a sitcom, you could watch them completely out of order. It doesn't matter. Something happens at the beginning and they resolve it at the end and everyone's friends again. Then you get to this more prestige television where things happen in an episode and there's a story there, but that is all in service of this larger story, right? And so you're not front loading everybody with, this is everything you need. But the theming of things is so critical because it just feeds into so many great things with the learning, the engagement, people are realizing that, I see how this all ties together. I'm getting it, the elements I need when I need, I can see the bigger picture, and they're really interested in moving forward. I think, that's a great approach. And you know what, we talked before this a little bit, and I thought I might not do these or not, but have you thought about this? Because I do like to ask my guests if they have any predictions that they want to cover, whether it's something somebody told them that didn't come true or something that they think themselves that might come in the next couple of years or so. Do you have any thoughts on that?
My own personal predictions is I would love to be a speaker at DevLearn in the next 5 years. I would love to have a session and spread everything that I've learned because, trial and error. And I feel like people could benefit from, I'd love to help people benefit from the things that I've learned. So personally, that's my prediction. For my company, I really want to see us get more into microlearning. And I'm really excited to learn more about that, kind of continuing that evolution of the TV series. Yep. you asked for one prediction and I'm giving you 3.
Knock it out.
And then for the industry, I mean, we were talking about it earlier. We can't get too far without talking about AI. So I'm really excited to see the way that continues to change our industry.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting that, it will play out. It's just the way technology works. It evolves and changes, and we'll be on to something else as we start to figure that out too. But I really like the predictions. I think microlearning clearly is, was for a while now, super useful. Just really trying to find out the best way to do it. How do I leverage it? When and where? I think that's great. And as far as your own personal one, of course, I've done a webinar with you before. I've heard the story of your organization and the things that you guys are doing. It's a great story. I think a lot of people could learn from it. Let's submit the paperwork today. We'll figure it out.
Sounds great.
All right.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and doing this, and look forward to hanging out with you some more here at DevLearn.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.